I always remember the time very clearly, 2:17 a.m. That number is still neatly printed on the cashier's closing report I keep in a brown folder. Every time I see it, my chest feels heavy, as if something remains unfinished. If I had closed the automatic door a few minutes earlier that night, perhaps I would never have seen it. But the door opened precisely at 2:17 a.m., and I was standing behind the cash register. At the time, I was 26 years old, working the night shift as a cashier at Silverline Market, a 24-hour convenience store in the small town of Hollow Creek, Oregon. Hollow Creek is not a tourist town. It grew from an old railway line and a sawmill that had closed more than a decade ago. Silverline Market stands alone at the end of Pine Hollow Road, surrounded by empty lots and dark pine forests. After midnight, few cars pass by, except for delivery trucks or the occasional lost driver. Night shifts were usually quiet and boring. Between 1 and 3 in the morning was the slowest time. I would usually restock shelves, take inventory notes, or sit in the cashier's chair listening to the local radio at a low volume. That night was no different, at least until the clock struck 2:17 a.m. The automatic door opened without the chime. It was strange, because the door sensor usually made a sound every time someone entered. I turned and reflexively said, "Good evening." No answer. A customer was standing about 6 feet from the door. He was tall, wearing a dark jacket and a hat pulled low. He stood unnaturally still, ignoring the shelves, not moving toward the drinks or snacks. I waited a few seconds, then looked back at the register screen, but the unease crept in slowly, like the air had suddenly turned cold. I looked up again. He was closer. His footsteps made no sound, no shoes scraping, no floor squeaking. He stopped directly in front of the counter and placed one item down, a small bottle of water. "That'll be $1.50, I said, trying to sound normal. And that's when I realized something was wrong. His face, I couldn't comprehend it, not because it was dark. The store lights were fully on, but the area where eyes, a nose, and a mouth should have been looked like a blurred surface, as if coated in glass that reflected nothing. I blinked, swallowed hard. My brain scrambled for a rational explanation. Transparent helmet, strange mask, light reflection. But there were no lines, no shadows, just emptiness. My hands trembled as I accepted the cash he handed me. It felt cold, colder than the room's temperature. I placed it in the cash drawer and pressed the receipt button. The register printed normally, but on the screen I saw something that made my breath catch. Cashier name, L. Ward. Transaction time, 2:17 a.m. And in the item description column, there was an extra line I had never programmed. "Thank you for waiting." I stared at the screen for too long. When I lifted my head again, the customer was gone. The automatic door had closed. No footsteps, no sign anyone had just left. I ran to the door and looked outside. The parking lot was empty. The street was silent. No cars with headlights on, no moving shadows. I returned to the register and tore up the transaction receipt. The receipt was blank, nothing written on it. The next morning, I reported the incident to the manager, Donna Keller. She thought I was just tired, but she checked the CCTV as per protocol. We sat in the back room, watching the black and white screen. 2:16 a.m., I can be seen cleaning the counter. 2:17 a.m., the door opens, but on the footage, I am standing alone. No customer, no other figure, yet the water bottle on the counter moves by itself, as if placed by an unseen hand. Donna stopped the recording. Her hands trembled slightly. She said nothing. A few days later, I searched the town's old archives. Hollow Creek's library is small, but it has local newspaper clippings. I found an article dated 1998. A night clerk at the location now occupied by Silverline Market was reported missing after an early morning shift. CCTV was broken, and the only recorded transaction was at 2:17 a.m. The clerk's name, Noah Whitaker. He was declared missing, never found. I quit my job a month later, but to this day, every time I wake in the middle of the night, I look at the digital clock by my bed. Often the numbers read 2:17, and in that dream, I am standing behind the cashier's counter, staring at someone waiting for me, silent, faceless, as if they had never truly left. I still wonder, did I serve something that came from the past that night, or something that is waiting for me in the future?